1940s.
Yeah, they all have dates on them, 1944 through 46-ish or so.
We're live. We are live. We are live. We are live. We are live, people.
Oh, snap.
Are we living?
Are we living?
Or are we alive?
Are we alive?
Oh, that's a good
We're
question.
alive, but are we living?
That's a good question.
Can Q Nate from the she posh
Let's do
in
that.
the see I didn't say duh. You see how it's in the house.
In the house?
What's up, y'all? What's up, y'all? What's up, y'all? Y'all know I do not go live that much. We're gonna pin this joint right here. Is that already pinned on there? We're gonna pin that. Oh, there's a cat.
Should let up the cat before he starts.
Is that the cat that tried to jump in my car?
This shook.
Did he try and jump in your car?
He came up to the car like he was about to get. I was like, hold up,
You don't want to mess with him, man. Last guy I got in the car with him got shot. You remember Tupac?
Oh God.
His name is Suge Midnight.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
his name is Sugar Midnight. So the kids wanted to name the cat Sugar or Midnight. I don't know if you saw the cat.
It's a big
They-
black cat.
How could I not
Oh,
go
Suge Knight.
Suge Knight? Well, no. Sugar Midnight is his real name.
I like that. I like Suge Knight better.
Right?
He'll bust
I
a
got
cap
question.
in a rapper.
I'm very curious about cats. Do cats actually listen when you call them?
Yeah, they like.
Do they?
This
Tell
one doesn't listen to me, but if he says anything,
That's what. Well.
he's on it.
Okay.
Yeah. Unless he
Really?
wants food, because then he's just complaining
Like an
extra.
asshole.
Yeah,
he's just
he's-
a jerk then.
He's just a jerk
then.
wad, you know?
Well, so I read an article once that said cats and dogs understand English at about the level of a 2 or 3 year old.
Have you ever had a conversation with a 2 or 3 year old?
Yeah, you have.
Exactly.
I don't remember the last time I had a
But they're
conversation.
but they can talk. They have sentences. They have thoughts. They have ideas. They're talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
Cats don't meow to each other.
They're trying to meow at humans because they're trying to talk.
The only reason they meow is they're trying to get their vocal cords to speak. Truth. I'm not. This is science, man. That's why I told you I'm a Spock kind of guy. So I started going. Well, I'll talk to him like that then. Seems to work. Seems to work. I don't know why. I don't question it. Why question it? It's too cool to question. There's too much we question. We question too much. The joy of it is the joy of it. Oh, what picture should I? Yeah, that's the wrong. It's that. I was watering. Yeah, no, yes, no. Oh, screw it. 101 Dalmatians just cause. Are you guys ready?
I think I'm ready.
Are you ready? Oh, the blue circle's going round and round.
I don't know.
I'm telling you, the blue circle's going round and round.
It's spinning.
It happened again.
It happened again. What happened again?
We're live.
Oh,
We're
snap.
live?
We're live.
Oh, Lord.
We are live.
Here we go.
Live. See, no one knows we have a guest except the people watching our guest, and no one that knows our guest can see us, but they can hear us.
Oh, snap.
It's like
It's like a crossover.
it's a crossover episode. Everything you ever wanted from any good 80s or 90s sitcom.
You ever watch BoJack Horseman?
No.
Oh my gosh, you gotta watch the crossover
It's worth it.
episode.
What is that?
BoJack Horseman is this former.
I mean, I've never heard of that. I don't know
he's-
what that is.
Okay, so it's on Netflix. He's a former actor
I can't wait for this explanation.
who's on this old sitcom,
Horsing around.
and he's just a horse, man.
He's-
He's a,
BoJack
every
Horseman.
person in this show is an animal.
Okay.
So
Not every.
he's- well, no, there's a couple humans. Yeah,
There's a lot of
there's
humans.
Todd. Todd's pretty.
Todd's
dope.
human.
Yeah.
Why's his name gonna be Todd?
Why is his name gotta be
The most
Todd?
random name in the world, Todd.
We've got a bot named Carl. Anyways, on with. So, how would you describe BoJack Horseman?
How would I describe BoJack Horseman? He's a complete mess up, complete
Okay.
and utter, like, just terrible.
It's one of the most in-depth and open looks at humans.
Yeah.
Is it an animation?
It
Yes,
absolutely is.
animation.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And
Were you imagining some dude with a
I didn't know what to imagine. I mean, I
Horse
didn't.
mask?
You
I
know
would
what?
hope it wouldn't be that.
it goes into a variety of different, just inner workings of humans, but in a way that they're just human. When one of the girls ends up on antidepressants, the whole
Okay.
rest of the show, she weighs a little more.
Okay. Okay.
You know, that Todd comes to the realization he's aromantic and asexual. So he starts an Arrow Ace dating website. I mean, it's absurd.
Uh-huh.
Is there a moment where the giant horse pukes so much pink cotton candy down the side of a mountain that it's an issue for the neighbor that lives below him? Absolutely. But
it's like little random universe things that they hold on to. That's
So-
like hilarious.
the little girl that was
Uh-huh.
on the show with him eventually comes back and needs his support because guess what? First she went into music and tried to be all sexy, and now everybody's forgotten about her as she's gotten older and she's addicted to drugs. And
This
Wait a minute,
a little
this
bit
sounds like real life.
Real life. Yeah.
Right?
Do you think that the show writers and the creators meant to do that? I mean,
in
was
that one, that
was
seems
intentional?
like very
So this
intentional.
is not just in different episodes. This is like the
The
show.
whole
This
show.
is like
The
how
whole
the
length
show
of
is.
the show.
Okay, cool.
That- and
We used
some
to
of
call
it's,
it the callback show because it's just constant
it
callbacks.
is. Everything's
Whereas-
a callback to something
yeah.
that happened like
Really?
5 episodes ago.
Yeah.
Oh my god. That he decided he wants to be Seabiscuit? No, it's not Seabiscuit he wants to be. He wants to be that other famous horse. I forget which
Oh,
one.
Secretariat.
Secretariat. To act in the movie. So BoJack Horseman wants to be in the movie of Secretariat, where of course Secretariat is a horseman, but he's a piece of crap.
Okay.
So it's layers upon layers in
Yeah.
comment on Hollywood and that whole world.
Right. Right.
But if you do it as a cartoon, you're allowed.
Well, that part. Somewhat.
You know that going all the way back for me, that one of the reasons that Winnie the Pooh is important to me is the first
Mm-hmm.
identified depressed character
Mm.
that is accepted by his peers and not ignored or avoided
Wow.
is Winnie the Pooh, because they invite Eeyore everywhere, and if it goes bad, they help him put his tail back on.
Mm-hmm.
And even though he's a bit of a bummer,
Mm-hmm.
he's at all the parties.
Mhm.
He's still there. They don't go, "Oh, you're depressed. We don't want anything to do with you." He's the first normalized character
Wow.
with a mental illness.
Do you think that was intentional?
I think chances are that, the reality is A.A. Milne probably dealt with some depression or something.
Mm-hmm.
That there's some reason why that I know that when I write, characters take on pieces of you.
Right. Right.
When you
Right.
look at, have you ever seen, okay, so there's a movie based on a Stephen King book called, what's the one where she breaks his feet over and over again?
She breaks his feet over.
Oh well, it doesn't really matter. The point is that it's actually all the fact that he was fighting with cocaine. And it was hobbling him.
Yeah.
It's a show, the movie is about an author gets
Oh,
kidnapped.
I know which one you're talking about because they did a parody of it on Family Guy.
This is the world I live in. People know literature from Family Guy. You know whatever, and the funny thing is, that's perfect. Because you all know Buddhism from Disney. Kung Fu Panda, it was you all the time.
Mm.
You look in the scroll,
Yeah.
scroll's not magic, you are. It's a mirror, it was you all along.
Mm-hmm.
Frozen, let it go. Let it go. We all relate to this, right? And not because anybody's purposefully even doing that, but
Yeah.
because actually all of what makes us resonates with those pieces.
Yeah.
It's not, oh, let me put in this thought from this group. It's that wisdom's wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
So it just keeps you just keep reappearing in front of us, like, oh, someone had this new thought. Those thoughts have been around for a few thousand years, but
Right.
okay, whatever.
Right.
But it brings me to the pertinent question. There's a pertinent question here.
Yes.
There's an important question.
Yes. Where are you from?
I'm from Columbus, Ohio. I'm from. I didn't see that coming.
Well, absolutely. This is. Welcome to the gauntlet.
I'm from Columbus, Ohio, man. I'm from the Brittenell area in Columbus, Ohio, which is near Ohio Dominican, born and raised. From the city, been here my whole life. I went away a little bit for school, but
Where'd you go?
I went to Capital University for a little bit, for about a year, Columbus State for a year, went down south to North Carolina A&T State
Okay,
University for a
okay.
year. But I wasn't really focused on school. I mean, I was in the community, doing different work, working with different schools, all kind of stuff. And when
I
I
can
came back
understand that.
home, my mom said, listen,
You
you're not
gotta
gonna be
stop
in-
chasing that good work.
Well,
That's what she said?
Well, mom said, if you're not going to be in school, you can't live here with me. So you got to figure it out, son. And hence, life began.
Isn't it the truth?
Yeah.
It's so, I have this funny take on Adam and Eve. So if you read it as a manual on how to raise kids, eventually they start to think they know it all. And you gotta kick them out.
Do you know this firsthand?
Well, hell yeah! I got kids ranging from the last one to leave left in a bit of a huff, and I only press charges. But it happens. I promised if you took those things that was going to happen, and part of being a good dad is,
Following your word.
there's the line.
Yeah.
Because just like your mom, it meant you had to make that move.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a natural progression.
Right.
I'm not saying it as somebody that moved back into my parents' house briefly in my mid-20s as a single dad.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes things happen, sometimes it even hits
Yeah.
the fan, you
Yeah.
know?
Yep. Yep.
Then I immediately thought about the fact of, when I think of 18, I was in Thailand. I was an exchange student.
Really?
And I've always wanted to go back to Thailand, yeah, because I was running around chasing good deeds. That's what I was doing in Thailand. I was trying to save a hoe. No,
Okay.
Dun dun dun, Captain Save a Ho! Well, it is amazing though. All of those are the pieces that make us who we are.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
That, you know what, it's all lesson. It was all, whether you chased this or chased that, what you learned was, if you touch fire, you get your hands burned. That, like, for me, growing up has been such a, there was a moment, almost 50, where it all made sense. Suddenly I could look back. It was everything to get me here, to doing what I am doing right now. It was the realization it all falls into place, even the crappy bits.
Yeah.
Man, if life puts speed bumps in your way, get notebook and paper. You're moving into a school zone. You probably got stuff to learn.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why you have to slow down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And life will do that for you. When you start going too fast, you'll hit a bump.
Yeah.
Because you're not looking. You're not present.
Yeah.
You know, I look back now, and so my first memories are married housing at a college. My dad was a graduate student at U of M, getting a degree in architecture. Everybody should grow up at university married housing. Everybody. Sorry. I felt it. I hit the mic.
Oh.
I am been hitting the table too, sorry.
I hadn't noticed. I was listening.
The thing about married housing is everybody there values education.
Mm-hmm.
So much so that nobody has a dime to their name. Not zip, not zilch. If you had the one spouse that was working the good job, you didn't live where we lived. But you had graduate students from all over the world
Yeah.
who all, the guy next door, downstairs in his basement, had this gorilla head that he'd been working on because he was a zoologist. He was a graduate student in zoology doing his, doctoral work on some insanely deadly virus that this gorilla skull
What?
that was in the house next door. My mom will tell me this story, and I'm like, so we didn't get to see the gorilla. The first thing so we didn't get to see the gorilla skull? Nope. The reason you don't remember it is you couldn't go see the gorilla skull because one of the possibilities was it might kill
It might kill him. Because this guy. Oh, because it's got the disease.
you.
Right?
He's got the
Studying,
disease. But everybody was like, the Mendiolas next door, you know, the Asian family down the street, and I don't remember their name. I do remember this scar is from their house, though. Somehow I fell into a table.
So in case you can't tell, the next question is, what are your first memories?
What are my first?
When you close your eyes, when you go back in
Yeah.
time.
Like, what do you remember of Columbus? What's your first?
What's that? You know, when I was a little kid, and if I could only spit on Grandma when she asked me for a kiss. No, I'm not that.
My first memories are traveling a lot
Hmm.
through AAU basketball,
Oh wow.
weekends and weekdays with my father, eating a lot, spending a lot of time with family. When I was younger, my family was a lot closer.
Hmm. Right.
My mother's cooking, my grandmother's cooking,
Ain't that the truth? Grandma's cooking.
and a lot of sports. I mean, I grew up heavy in sports. I was an athlete, so a lot of basketball, a lot of training, a lot of push-ups, a lot of running. I was always active doing something, whether it was climbing a tree, huge tree we had in the backyard, walking to the rec center,
Always on the move.
always on the move. Kind of despised it, but
That's interesting. So,
I loved it at the same
did you
time.
feel like? Because so my brother was the one into sports.
Uh-huh.
He's 5 years older than I am, so I strayed away from it. You know what? I felt like I had a self-esteem issue related to the idea that he was better at everything.
Mm.
He'd had 5 years more practice. There was a reason. It just took me till my 30s or so to figure that out.
Mhm.
Not that you were
Took a
carrying
little bit longer.
Not like I was carrying around as a badge or was
Right,
even really
right.
aware of it.
Right,
But then I took some time and went, what is this all about?
right.
You know, this whole, I thought I wasn't interesting to my father because everything I could do,
Mm-hmm.
Your brother did it.
somebody had already done.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He was driven when it came to sports.
Right, right.
I mean, he was the guy that was doing two-a-days with the football team even though he didn't play football to get ready for basketball season. He was the guy going, how can I, doing the volleyball training thing at home, working on his vertical leap, doing the, you can picture the, oh, we need more squats, more squats, more squats, more squats. I remember he broke his arm, his senior year maybe, and the proudest thing about it was he blocked the shot. He really didn't give a, he did not.
He didn't care to the fact
He
that
landed straight arm
Oh.
and shattered it. So not like
So it
it
was a
came
clean
sideways. No, it was the opposite of a clean
Opposite
break.
of a clean
It went down, and he'd hit hard enough coming down.
Oh.
So he was in a cast for a while. I clipped his nails during that time period. But do you feel like some of that was an outside push for you to be that involved in other things?
Absolutely. I think my parents, who they were, they did it partly to keep me out of trouble. I think it was their way of making sure Nate doesn't do certain things or hang around certain crowds, so we're going to keep him involved in
Gotcha.
stuff. We're going to. It was a blessing though because it exposed me to a lot more.
Well, right.
So maybe some of the kids in the neighborhood weren't able to see Detroit, Michigan, see Orlando,
Ooh.
Florida, see Kansas City, or wherever the case, wherever we were. It just exposed me to a lot more. But there were moments where I would just sometimes feel like I'm missing out on some of those moments that maybe some of the other kids had.
Right.
Maybe some of the.
We call those Troy Barnes moments. I don't know if you remember Troy Barnes. Broke his arm, high school senior year. He was the head quarterback. Ended up in community college.
Oh my gosh.
He's talking about.
That sounds
community.
horrible. That sounds
Have
horrible.
you ever seen the show Community?
It's a show.
No.
It's a show. It's about a community college.
And it's
Oh, I
all the
thought this
people
was
that
a
it's all the people that actually.
real life
Oh, I will do that
example.
to you endlessly. I will endlessly take pop culture and act like it's mine, and then tell you the truth. I won't hold up. My argument is everything we ever say is stolen.
Yeah.
Everything. It all came from somewhere.
Mhm.
So that I think of myself more as a mirror than like I'm having deep thoughts
Yeah.
or like I'm
Yeah.
attached to the
Yeah.
ideas.
Yeah.
That. But what I related to immediately is the idea behind community is these are the people that end up in community college.
Mm-hmm.
He felt overwhelmed by the push to be the star athlete,
Mm-hmm.
and he makes a move that makes it so he can't go play in college
Purposely?
purposefully, and that's why he's in community college.
I tell you what though, I can relate to both of y'all a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I didn't hate sports, but I hated the fact that my friends were all better than me, at it. But the problem was, I was friends with the coach's kids. So they had the
Sheesh.
coach with them living at their house.
Right.
So like it was.
Your
it was
comparison
a different
wasn't
thing. My
valid.
comparison wasn't really. I was pretty good at sports, but I didn't like. I really liked it, but I at the same time like despised it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe that's, so I try really hard with the 9-year-old grandson to figure out how to approach this in a meaningful way. Now, a lot of the stuff I read said don't base it all on achievement. And he's really athletic. He's 9 years old.
Mhm.
He runs with a 10-pound weight vest because he wanted one, so he does that sometimes.
Oh, wow.
He pull-ups, full-on Ninja Warrior. There's a reason why it's, everything built the way it is built because I let myself resonate in his space. So the odd climbing stuff is not because I endlessly climb, that's who he is.
Mm-hmm.
But he came to me at about the age of 2 or 3. And I was cooking out back on the grill, and I had just built the first part of the clubhouse, and there was a ladder. And he came to me and he looked at me and he said, "Papo." I'm like, "What?" "Okay. You know, what do you need?" I said, "Well, I've decided I'm not good enough at ladders yet." I said, "Oh, okay. So I'm going to go practice ladders." He turned around and went up and down that ladder for 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "I think I got it." So we talk a lot about ladders. That anything is available to you, but comparing yourself to the end result is not meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
There was a day I came home, he had decided he was going to, I early on gave him a controlled device but with a microphone. I said, "You can ask this anything you want." I came home one day, he had decided he wanted to learn how to draw. And I'm telling you, it was one of the best drawings of the Statue of Liberty I've ever seen, kind of in a cartoon style.
Yeah.
The other thing that day was he was big on ones where you could open them and their mouth would be bigger and there'd be something in it.
Oh, wow.
So we watched video after
Uh-huh.
video, and he goes, "Well, Papa, but I want you to know I had to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It took me a few times." I said, "That's perfect. And you didn't give up?" And he's like, "No, Papa." And so constantly finding those moments
Yeah.
to reinforce the piece that, because what I didn't get as a guy that was considered above average, however, intellectually or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
it was never work.
Mm-hmm.
Till high school, oh man, that hurt. Oh
High school's a
man,
slap
that's
in
a
the face.
that's a kick in
Yes,
the
it
schnuts
is.
right there. That's a ooh, one for the bollocks, as the British say. Then all of a sudden you're like, I've been faking it. I could show up to class without doing any of the work and keep the teachers in my pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And then I took my PSATs, and the teacher started looking at me going, "What's wrong with you? Why are you not trying?" Do you feel like having that background allowed you to better approach your world? That you knew that, no, you don't just start dunking one day, you don't just hit every free throw, you don't hit every three-pointer until you stand there.
And you do it over and over and over and over and over.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Here's the thing that I love about sports. Well, sports specifically. I can speak on sports because that's how I came up. That was my first love. I had a basketball on my arm. I thought I had my
And a
initials.
lady on the other one.
Listen, I thought
I know what's up.
I thought I was going to the NBA. Like that's what I thought. So my focus was do whatever it takes. So the work ethic, the discipline, and those small moments like you mentioned, even if it's just like going from laying the ball up to tapping the backboard, that was a big thing. Like, oh, I can tap the backboard now. Then it's I can lay it up over the rim. Then it's I can dunk. Those small moments of progression, you can take that, put it in your pocket, and you can apply that to whatever to whatever realm or field you're in as you start to get older. And one thing I love about sports is it's decision based. It gives you a decision. You know,
And you have to make a decision
you
now.
have to make a decision.
That's interesting, because
you
both
have
of us
to.
lack that ability, so maybe that's where it went wrong. We should have played more sports growing up, Ross.
Well, and even back to when I came home from college, my mom gave me a decision. She may not have known that it was empowering me, but there's power in that. I mean, you're a young man, a young woman, whatever I was, 21, 22 years old, if that. And essentially, the rest of your life is
And that's the day
whichever
you started.
direction you choose
That
is
brings
going
up
to
a
affect
really valid point.
the rest of your life.
Doesn't that bring up a question?
That brings up a question. How do you work?
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
Whatever you think it means.
Think of these questions as almost like a Rorschach test. So that the questions are so simple that you have to make a decision. You have to find what it means to you, because for me, okay,
Yeah.
so when I think about how do I work, it's a struggle. I work my butt off at doing what I'm doing, but traditionally, first off, in our culture, the idea of begging for alms or starting a nonprofit, note the similarities. That doesn't feel very like I'm meeting my responsibilities or being the manly man I'm supposed to be. You know what, I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay, and all of that. I drove truck for 15 years before this. I was known for how strong I was.
Yeah.
I was known for how I could run crews. I was known for the fact that I'm the guy that walks up to the 800-pound pallet and just moves it.
Yeah.
Grabs it by one corner and swivels. A little physics goes a long way with people that are undereducated.
Yeah.
But anyways, no, I struggle with the idea of how do I work. Not just beyond this is my work. But how do I define it in a way that other people find meaningful and they don't go, oh yeah, he's working. He's got a podcast. A podcast with well over 100 episodes in under 7 months. Oh, well then he's doing that other stories thing with almost 50 episodes now in less than 2 months. That we're working with a group on mental health reformation. That I was working with a group on global men's work. I'm still working with a group on global men's work. I've just given up some of it. That all of those things are great. Those good deeds. Those I'm moved by being able to unearth the connection that's always been there.
But it doesn't really feel like work. Does
How
it?
do you define what you do?
Why is this question so simple but so complex at the same time?
It's the gauntlet, brother. That's the point. In reality, they're all very simple questions. And part of the fun of it is, it very much is I'll show you mine, you show me yours.
Yeah.
We work together at creating a world where everybody knows, oh no, we'll get out there right on that limb with you. We're going to walk out there with you and go, no, this is human. I've done this with the 9-year-old. These are questions you've thought about your entire life. More defining than what am I going to be, how am I going to be. So how do you work?
Lord
I
have
vamped
mercy.
for you, brother.
How do I work? I don't know why this question
8
is
days
so
a week?
difficult. Because for me, I'm thinking about how does Nate work? What is the makeup of Nate? But then I'm also thinking about how do you actually quote unquote work?
Don't they kind of integrate and relate though too at the same time?
Absolutely.
Didn't one lead you one place and the other lead you back to it?
Absolutely.
That's been my weird experience. But I never, all of the things I did up to this point never met my calling. They were the things I was doing in between. I mean, the last place I was at, there were discussions about, do you want to do this job? You don't want to retire from that job. And part of the problem was none of those jobs I've ever had were jobs I thought about, let me work this until I die and retire. They never fit that.
Yeah.
That bill.
And then there's this. There's this. It's all of it. It's meaningful. It's what I've always been supposed to do.
Meaningful.
Yeah.
How did you know that? Did something happen? Was there a moment? Is it a feeling, or is it all of the above? Because you just said it. You know that this is.
So, just
What you're
because you're
supposed to be
desperately
doing.
trying to get me off your question, I will tell you that about 25 years ago, I had epiphany.
Epiphany.
I'm working on a book called Breakfast at Epiphanies. It's like
Instead of
like
Breakfast
an
at
epiphany,
Tiffany's.
but as opposed to Breakfast at Tiffany's, it's
Okay.
Breakfast at Dink Epiphanies,
Okay.
like an epiphany.
Okay.
I woke up one morning to a friend posting about an epiphany they'd had, and I thought, well, this is the right way to wake up. Breakfast at people sharing the things they've discovered. I won't go into. I've gone into depth other places, but it boils down to, I was taking a walk in the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a bird that landed on my hand. Yeah, it was a mind-breaking moment of suddenly understanding things and feeling like I was supposed to do something, which I immediately said, screw you, whatever divinity is. I'm in the middle of a custody case. I'm in the middle of raising kids. I don't have time for this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the momentous breakthrough then, 25 years later almost, exactly, as I'm coming up on 50, is after taking a number of psychoactive drugs in an attempt to go argue with God because I was pissed about this fight I'd been in for 25 years.
Wow.
I went and looked in the mirror. You're not supposed to go look in the mirror. Don't do that. You're not supposed to do those drugs and go look in the mirror. I'm a go look in the mirror kind of guy. I walked back out 2 minutes later, laughing my ass off about how incredibly egotistical could I possibly be that the universe had been fighting with me for 25 years. Everything I needed to learn to do what I needed to do now took that 25 years. It was school the whole time, you dumbass. You were fighting with the universe. I mean, everybody knows the universe has to decide Friday night football games. I mean, on the basis you played basketball, there was more than one prayer where God was supposed to decide which of you won. I mean, can you imagine how much time God has to put into weighing relative prayers in locker rooms? I mean, ooh, they brought in a priest. That kind of, ooh, how do we decide this game?
Mm-hmm.
So how could he have possibly been having time to fight with me is my point.
Yeah.
That I've embraced the ridiculousness of
Yeah.
it. And I ended up writing a book.
Yeah.
I've always studied wisdom where I could find it. You know, had a copy of Plato in my room when I was 12, just 'cause.
I can tell you that it's sometimes it can be really simple or it can be really complex. Like as far as how you get to the answer of how do you work. It can be, for me.
Yeah.
It was as simple as I really like how this music makes me feel. I want to make other people feel this way.
Yeah.
It was that simple, and it was a quick thing. I learned it pretty quickly, and I started working on it. And some people it takes 25, 50 years
Yeah.
Plus we're a little
of
slow.
just figuring it out. No, like sometimes it takes that. It depends on who you are.
Right.
And
Right. And
what-
you know what?
Short bus. No.
I discovered something in 2014. I'm a senior in high school, and I told you all I had been focused on basketball. Wanted to go to the NBA. Wanted to go play college ball.
Wanted the
here.
dream.
But really, looking back at it, a lot of what I wanted, what I was thinking, what I was being told was really unrealistic. It wasn't going to happen. Just based on where I was at, my skill set, it wasn't going to happen. But I've always been kind of like a outlandish dreamer.
Well, the only guys that get there,
are the outlandish.
You have to be-
You have to be that obsessed.
you
with
have
it.
to
Right,
be
right.
that blind to reality. One of the greatest traits of humanity is we're stupid enough to do things that shouldn't work.
Yeah.
And every once in a while,
It works.
breakthrough.
I could tell you guys about some crazy things that I have done for my purpose, in business, that have worked. That people would look at you and probably say, dude, you're out of your mind. Why did you do that? When did you do that? How did you do that?
Right.
But it all came together.
It all came together. Exactly.
So, 2014, I am a senior at Eastmore Academy High School. I'm a goofy kid. I'm thinking about basketball. What's the third thing y'all think of? Basketball. Maybe some girls, you know, having a girlfriend.
All I just know is balls were involved across the board. No,
No,
yours.
no.
Some cases yours. No, see, that still don't sound right.
That don't sound
My
right.
point
That don't
is-
sound right.
Yeah. I get it.
So
Some ladies.
some ladies, I walk into the classroom.
Sports and music were created for just one reason.
To get girls.
To get
Woo
girls.
and wow the ladies, baby.
I mean,
I had those.
Right?
I had a girlfriend, but whatever. We won't get into
Right,
it.
it's complicated.
Yeah,
That's why Facebook has that one.
Right. So I'm walking into a classroom. We have to do these presentations. This is a computer class, but she made us do presentations. And my teacher at the time, she says, because I'm flirting with girls. I'm messing with some girls. She said, "Hey, Nate, come here." So I walk over to her. She said, "Nate, you know something? You have a presence when you walk into a room." She said, "You can demand attention. You command people's attention when you walk into a room." I didn't know what she was talking about because I'm thinking, I'm going to the NBA. I don't really know or care what you're talking about. She ended up signing me up to do the senior speech at the senior breakfast. Her and another teacher. I didn't really want to do it, but she
But
compelled me
they
to
actually
do it.
saw you even when you didn't.
Right, and that's another point I want to get at. So I ended up doing this speech, and fast forward, I found out that I was gifted at it. And so what happens sometimes is people can see those things in you that you can't even see in yourself. And it happened when I was 18, y'all. I'm 18. So what did they start to do? I started to operate in the gift. I started to do speaking and workshops and all kind of things in the community for free just because I loved it. Because, like you said, listening to speeches and all that motivational, inspirational stuff, I love how it made me feel. And I said,
It
I got to give
resonated.
this. I got to give it. See, some people will get it and say, I got to keep it.
Yeah.
But then the circles. So my argument is, I want to give away anything I have because otherwise the circle's not complete. If I have, that means I want to give. That I joke
And how can
about.
it come back to you if you get it and you stop?
Then-
How can you keep that
Yeah,
energy and
lost,
the blessings
and
flowing
it
back
lost
into you?
meaning. It loses the piece of it that's the most beautiful.
Right.
It's
Somebody
basketball.
else
If
was
you're not
thinking
passing,
about you.
No one's gonna pass it to you.
That's right. That's
Right?
right. That's
You
right.
ain't hitting on the girls, you ain't never gonna get them wrong. Never mind. Okay.
Hold up. That's right.
That's true.
Right,
though.
exactly. You got a
You're
point.
not lying,
You're
but
not lying.
The unshot shot never sinks.
that's right. It's so true, man, that what you give, you have to give it. And once you have that organic, authentic experience, I mean, I used to listen to, like you said, I would just pull wisdom. Like, I'm hungry for knowledge.
It's everywhere.
inspiration. Anywhere. I'm talking people at Kroger. I'm talking the man bagging your groceries. I'm talking
Right.
the worker at
I'm
McDonald's.
telling you, I've seen
TV shows.
puppies chase a bee in a way that'll teach you about meditation. That's
Yeah.
one focused little dog right there, like zoo, 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 zoo.
Mhm.
But it's just as meaningful.
Yes.
The 9-year-old teaching me to play out in the ring. I swear, I stood out in the pet store parking lot. He's like, "We gotta go run in it," because we were parked over by the drain where it was running about a foot all the way around it. It's a good grade. I wasn't worried about him. I stood out in the rain and smoked a cigarette for about 15 minutes while I ran in circles, going, "Damn, I forgot that."
Mm.
So you're giving speeches. You realize what you've got is called charisma. Now, I fought with it. The idea that you own a room, it's got its blessings and its faults. That it can be an easy way. It can be, I didn't know how to deal with attention from the opposite sex group, like as I got older. I wasn't as pretty in high school.
It's okay.
I was in at about 240. They called me Fat Matt on the bus.
Oh, you were a little chubbier, huh?
I came back 10 and a half months at 165, and those same people that called me Fat Matt paid me $160 an hour to take my clothes off at their bachelorette party. And I didn't admit to them who I was till the end.
Really? They didn't
Straight
even know it was
up.
you? They didn't know.
They did not know it was me. I just kept going, "No, I know you guys."
Wow. You look that different?
It was that, well, I mean, they obviously probably weren't paying that close attention
Yeah,
to me either because
yeah.
they didn't see me on that.
Right.
Then all I was Fat Matt. I don't know that they could have described me to the sketch artist had I committed a crime.
Right.
I think I was
We
off
just know
the
his name's
hot
Matt,
girl
and we know
radar.
he's fat.
He knows
Yeah.
he's mad and he's fat.
We never, right.
Right.
That's how that works. Back then I had 2 T's. I dropped
Yeah,
the T.
2T, yeah.
But, so you found
Mhm.
that as your means of work. That how that charisma motivates you and moves you through the world and the good you can do with it?
Yes.
Because that's, I mean, I have the advantage of having heard rumors about you and
Uh-oh.
spoken with people.
Uh-oh.
No, not to that extent. I don't like to know people that well.
Okay.
Wait, it just meant we had Armand in and we talked. You were on the
love
phone
Armand.
with me.
I love Armand.
Hey.
Yeah,
I know. I
he's
peeped the
Sporting the
shirt.
shirt.
I
He's
peeped-
dope. He's,
I love him.
He's pure energy. And
He,
just,
oh my, though I need new bracelets.
Yeah.
I've decided he needs to keep giving me a bracelet and I'm going to keep giving them away. So that we were standing there the other day with a couple guys and we were, you had your shirt on.
Yep. Did.
And we were talking about it and I looked at the guy and said, "Well, here, what you need is one of these bracelets."
Right.
And then the best was, kind of Ross looked around and goes, you know what, I got one too. And now they both have bracelets. We have shirts. It's okay. We don't
Yeah.
really need more bracelets.
Right.
The hard part is we can get so invested in how we work
Yes.
that we forget to live, that we forget to make time for ourselves. And you gotta wonder,
How do you play?
Is that the question?
Yes.
That's the question.
That's the question.
how do you play? So no one can see it, but if you look off in the corner right up there, you'll see the hot air balloon. Enjoy the
Yes.
journey. You'll see the standard thermos that you'd see a guy taking off to the work every morning.
Yes.
You'll see Buddha with his hands up in the air rejoicing. You'll see a giant jack, like I remember the girls playing with when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Work, play, pray. Enjoy the journey. Skeletons everywhere because nothing's permanent.
Mm.
Bilbo sitting there fighting with Gollum, swear to God, don't get too attached to the ring. The ring will take you down. It's a little Tolkien for you, man. Bust out some Hobbit on you.
You know what? Because I have become somewhat obsessed with my work. What started off from my gift. And for me, I have to remember that yes, I am blessed enough to be able to have a business with doing things that I love, and working with different people, speaking with different groups, but not to get too consumed in it to the point where I'm not enjoying the process. I remember it was a Blake Griffin. Y'all remember Blake Griffin?
I know Blake Griffin.
Jumped over the car in the dunk contest.
Yeah.
Used to play for the Clippers.
Yeah.
I'll never forget this commercial. This was probably maybe 10 years ago. And I forgot what the basis of the commercial was. But essentially, Blake Griffin, he talked about you have to fall in love with the process as much as you do as the actual result. You know what I mean? That you have to love the practices. You have to love like every second of it has to be just as
amazing,
important.
If it ain't fun, quit.
Right.
Used to be my motto. And I try to, but not meaning that nothing, not that, oh, okay, so everything has to be fun. But invest your, like, so I used to go on job sites and go, what we need to do is tell a couple jokes. Gotta make it fun.
I have a good support system too. I have guys in my corner who will snatch me up and be like, yo, we're going to so and so to go eat. Meet, you know what I mean? Let's link up 6 o'clock or whatever. They're hard workers.
Absolutely.
They're purpose driven. They're gifted. But we collectively have made time to unwind. I like to do things that have nothing to do with speaking, workshops, boys groups, leadership groups. I like to do things that have sometimes I'll watch a random show. Sometimes I'll just get food that I want to eat because I try to eat good throughout the week, but then it's like,
You gotta give yourself some. So, Julia Childs used to say, everything in moderation. Actually, she said, everything in moderation, especially moderation. That you gotta, like, do things in moderation, but you can't hold yourself to the fire so bad you hate it all.
Right. Well, and I've seen this even coming up in sports. Some of those parents who are the hardest on those kids, the kids end up hating that very sport that they're having to do, that they're having to practice, that they're having to
Tiger Woods.
begrudgingly.
Tiger Woods. What? Who said that? I didn't name who.
I mean, now that doesn't mean not to
But I
hold
think
people
that
to standards
happens.
and to hold them accountable and to work hard, but oftentimes people who get pushed like that, you
Push
end up
back.
getting burnt out and you push back.
Yeah.
Well, it's the hardest thing raising another round a kid. It's like a brand new experiment. So I'd like to believe I got it right last time. I know how horribly it went wrong. Some of the kids turned out better than others, yada yada. It's how do you stand back and build on the passions as opposed to try and get a child invested in your passions. They want your approval. So it's easy for them to fall into that. Let me be a little you. And my daughter has the arrest record to show it. She wanted to be me. Really, that wasn't. I tried to tell her that's not a smart move. That doesn't work. It really doesn't. The reality is, that's a piece I work on with him. that I work on discovering where he finds meaning. One of the things we're getting ready to do is a Twitch stream with a 9-year-old. I don't believe in showing kids that old.
Mhm.
He plays, I color commentate like an old dude watching baseball. You know what? 9 and 51.
Wow.
So that what you get is that, and our rule with video games,
Mhm.
if it stops being fun, you have to quit. It's supposed to be a game.
Yes.
We play games because we enjoy it. We
Yep.
don't. We're bringing the joy of
Yep.
why we do this. That
Yep.
you know what? I've been around a minute. I've played some video games.
Mhm.
You know, but without, you can't get attached.
Mhm.
And the thing that's been amazing is, as I've boosted, is different. Yeah, he loves video games. It's sunny out. He's either climbing or running. He came to me today and goes, "Yeah, I went the long way around today. It was about a 9-minute run." He's working on stamina
Yeah.
and speed,
Yep.
and which is as opposed to him being addicted to what exactly it says. That's what he's
Right.
doing right now.
Right.
I think that's. I don't think it matters which route you end up there, though, because at the same time, you eventually found your path and have so much from those lessons.
And here's the deal. I mean, this is the path of this season. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean that Nate will be doing this line of work, operating in this way for the next 10 years, 5 years. It could change in a year.
Yeah.
You know
I
what
never
I mean?
could have told you what I was going to be doing. No. There's no reasonable way to describe the place I'm in.
But you know, you really can't express the feeling, but you know when you're operating in what you should be operating in. You know when you're moving in purpose. You know when you're
You get that
operating.
vibration.
You know it.
No, you get that
You know
vibration.
it.
I
And
know
it's
what you're
really,
talking about.
It's really unexplainable.
It resonates. You
Yeah.
feel it.
That's
You literally
you
feel
do.
it.
Like when I try to tell people before, well, I don't try to tell them, but I ask before I do certain events or speaking engagements or work with different groups. I like to go into the space before we start that contract or that assignment, so that I can just feel the room, so that I can see the atmosphere, so that I can
I
dwell
might
in
be
there.
addicted to atmosphere. If you've looked around a little bit, I'm a little addicted.
Yeah,
I will
maybe,
tell
maybe
you,
a little bit.
This
maybe
is
just
the
a little
same place that in my worst depression I curled up in a ball right where you're sitting.
bit. Wow.
This was my cave.
Mhm.
Ross didn't always live here till last August.
Mhm.
And literally the January before, no, I was in a puddle. Over a year ago now, by a bit,
Mhm.
I was at my lowest I'd ever been in my life, and finally went to get help.
Yes.
And that timing was perfect.
Yes.
It became what it was, and then there was Ross, and
Yes. Would you say that this is therapeutic for you?
let's get one more question in.
Go.
How do you pray? Whatever that means to you.
Right. It doesn't. I'm not attached to any particular faith, though I find wisdom in all of them. So I don't. Some people think meditation. Some people think prayer. I don't think the what it's called matters as much as how do you pray.
I mean, I pray sometimes in your most basic, conventional way, on my knees,
Mhm.
Up against the bed or on the floor. But I found myself lately just talking to God, just really audibly throughout the day, maybe in my car, literally speaking out loud.
Mm-hmm.
God, I'm not in control. God, I know you're working this out. God, I know you're doing this. God, I need you. Just doing those things so that I can really develop that relationship. Sometimes we boxed in what prayer should look like. No matter what your faith is. So, I don't know what everybody believes, and even listeners, but that's communion. Your prayer is communion. Your prayer is relationship. Your prayer is dialogue. And if I don't feel that I can talk to whatever your higher power is, if I don't feel I can talk to God in any fashion, then how do I really feel like God loves me? Unconditional.
I've always been of the opinion that if I can't be accepted by my God, whatever that means, then it doesn't mean anything to me.
Mhm.
Like,
God
I
forgave me.
can't-
Why can't you?
Go ahead, Ross.
Well, it's,
Go ahead, brother.
it's-
This is what hit my head. I apologize.
like, for example, I've always thought of God as the highest, the best version of myself. I know for a fact I'll never be able to reach it. It's an unattainable goal. I'll never be the best version of myself. But I know for a fact that I can strive every
can
day
strive.
and be closer and closer to it.
Yeah.
I can constantly work on myself, and I can constantly, when I feel like I'm not there yet, I need to take a second to reflect and really think, okay, what would the best version of myself do in this situation?
Yeah. Growth.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately, I mean, I think that is what, well, even in Christianity, when you're looking at Christ, I think people know you can't actually be Christ. You can strive to be like Christ. You can strive to have maybe some of those characteristics, traits. But as long as you're striving and you're pushing to live according to what you believe, and for me, that's what it's all about.
That's
Like
deep.
for me, I don't debate people over religion, over scripture. People have tried to on my different videos or anything. I'm just like,
I have a theory. So this is my theory, and it's based on the whole bird landing on the. I might have got some up top knowledge, but either way, my theory is, I'm gonna say it, from astrophysics to Zoroastrianism, and I got it out without a stutter for a change. We're all trying to describe the same thing, and then we're fighting over the words. A rose by any other name. That I have trouble not looking at some of the wars created around faith and going, okay, look, it's okay, guys. Daddy loves all of you. That
Well,
literally the translation of the word God is what you're fighting over, and that just seems.
that's as my faith has grown in what I believe in God. That's what has concerned me is ultimately, if God is above all,
Right.
we're concerned so much about the middleman. We're concerned about whether it's Christ, whether it's whomever.
Right. Whomever or whatever we believe in.
It's pointless, and it brings upon
All of
division.
those-
Even people who believe the same thing. Even Christians, there's division because
Endlessly.
maybe your church has a different denomination.
I was reading a thing today about how
Maybe
some
has different
Christians don't think
opinions
of
on
Catholics as Christians. You know, you get that war between Protestants and Catholics and Baptists and born again, but it's true in all faiths. It happens everywhere.
Believe my thing is just believe what you want to believe, because at the end of the day, that's between you and God. That
Right. That's
we don't
not,
even hold the
Yeah.
power as man to I can't put you in
It's not my job to
heaven.
judge.
I can't put you in hell. I can't really judge you like that. I have to
Yeah.
hold myself to that standard. Be the best Nate that Nate can be.
There's only one person I can judge, and I look at him in the mirror.
Right.
That the rest of it, I don't know your struggle or what
Now
perspective.
that doesn't
brought
mean
you
I
there.
can't hold you accountable.
Well, no, I totally
Yeah,
agree.
That does mean.
But in my
Can't-
sense, accountable
Yeah.
is I can't allow you to do damage to others or yourself. I'm not going to define something you're doing that's bringing love and joy as damaging. In general.
I'm not gonna define what you believe as something as damaging. I can only do what I can only tell you what I believe, and maybe that can shine. Maybe that can maybe we can figure out what we believe together. You know, like
Let your life do the talking.
Yeah.
I can
Live by example.
yeah.
I can tell people about HBCUs. I can tell people about college. I can tell people about public speaking. But
Right.
until you experience it, you won't actually really understand what I'm saying. Me trying to convince somebody to believe what I believe is a waste of my time. Now if you ask me a question, then I may be able to
I'll
enlighten
try.
you.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't sit and debate with anybody regarding religion, regarding Christianity, regarding any of it. I don't have the
You
energy
can't.
for it. I don't
No,
have
it's
the energy.
it's an energy consuming thing because I like to argue that I really don't know what happened before I got here, and I don't know what's going to happen after. That I can't talk about that. I'm agnostic on it in the sense that there's no way I could possibly know.
Right.
So that all I can do is try right here. That's shook. All I can do is try right in this space.
Yeah.
The only place I can exist is right here.
Yeah.
Everything else is not out of
Well,
my control.
And it's funny that you said that because sometimes we can get so caught up on where I'm going to be after I die or where I'm going to be 10, 15 years from now that you forget about everything that happens in between. This is why
right now.
in the Christian church, which is what I believe
Mm-hmm.
in and what I've done some work in, what I've tried to do is bridge the gap between what's happening now and what's going to happen to you when you pass away. For example, I want to talk about the hard things.
Absolutely.
Because we can't come to church and shout and run and say hallelujah, but then leave the church and be miserable, be depressed.
You mean everybody on Sunday was wearing a mask, like they put on their Sunday best or something, and they weren't actually bringing themselves?
Right. And so
But you know what I'm saying to some
we
extent?
can't we can't have that disconnect. We
Right.
can't have that disconnect.
You gotta bring.
It's
what
why
you're
we
going
all
through.
feel alone. We all have a list of things we're supposed to hide, because haven't you seen how good so-and-so's doing on Facebook? That's all fake. Everybody's showing their Sunday best.
Of course, I do it. I
Right.
mean, I try not to do it, but it's kind of like innately just who we are. I mean,
Why the masks are behind me.
I did.
That's why Hulk.
Listen, man.
There's Hulk over there too.
I had to speak to a group before, and I had put on a mask because I was trying to metaphorically get them to understand that, because they didn't know who I was, that you really don't know who I am behind me wearing this mask. You don't know. This is what I show you.
Well, and what you're gonna get is I'm gonna give you a note, and I'm a symphony. There's no amount. So Ross and I have lived together for a year.
Mm-hmm.
There is no way I could find words that fully described who he is. A, I ain't never lived behind those glasses. I live behind these.
Mhm.
B, as much as we've shared,
Yeah.
as much as I know about him,
Yeah.
you can't put people in boxes. That's not how people are made. They're just not.
And for me, I don't even have. It takes too much energy, y'all. It takes too much energy. Like,
Lay it down because you're selfish, because I'm telling you, you'll feel so much better.
yes.
It's like I've told people, you know what, be honest because you're a narcissist. Help people because you're a narcissist. Because you know what, you deserve to feel good.
Mhm.
You deserve to, at the end of the day, go, man, I did my best. I told the truth. I got nothing to keep track of. Let me lay my head down. I'll try again tomorrow. It
Because-
doesn't mean perfect every day. You're going to practice.
Because here's the deal. I mean, life goes on. So I mean, we have to make a decision to stop or to keep going. So we have to just keep taking it day by day. You have to just keep going, keep trying to get better, keep doing what you can do.
Even Annie told us you can't really live in tomorrow.
Sun will come out.
Bet you bottom dollar that tomorrow.
What do you love?
Musicals. Red-haired girls with big fros.
Wow. Oh.
I react that way to red girls with big fros too. Red-haired girls with big fros too, though.
I'm thinking, can I say this on the? What do I love?
What do you love, brother? OPP?
You can say whatever you want, by the way.
Are you down with
It's
OPP?
kind of hard for me. It's just like, I mean,
That's the interesting part.
I love life. I mean, I love everything that life entails. The pain, the ups, the downs, the beauty.
Everything that goes down must come up, and vice versa.
I mean, my wife. I love my wife.
You're doing this live, and I hadn't checked the hand. You have to realize you should have brought that up earlier. I would have hinted and given you a kick. Shit. What do I love? What do I love? So where are you sleeping tonight, man?
Man, I love God, man. I love the place that I'm at right now. Just
It's
in
good to
purpose.
be here.
In purpose. You know, you can just feel, like we discussed earlier, when you are moving in the right direction. You begin to attract certain things. I've been reading a book called As a Man Thinketh by James Allen about the power of your thoughts and how it relates to your circumstances, your health, your purpose. I mean, I love God. I love life. I love being able to influence and impact people and be creative with it. Because
absolutely.
I've been graced and blessed enough to, when I work with these groups, yes, they say, hey, we want you to hit on this, or we want you to talk about this, but I can create. I literally go into it thinking, how can I create? What can I do with
bring
the
this
room?
message?
How can I use the whole room? Some people don't know that public speaking is not just standing in front of
No,
people.
it's not.
And, you can utilize
You
that
gotta
whole
connect.
space.
We've been talking about whether, so I'd like to work a crowd with 10 questions. These same questions you're going through. I'm a little silly. There's a little bit of probably stand up to it. There's probably a little bit of ragging on where you say you're from. Because of conversations, I've had thoughts about how I make that work with younger people.
Yeah.
I've had other thoughts about what else I could bring to younger people. You know, that one of my big things is we can all relate to each other, we just don't realize it. Okay, everybody for a minute, think about that time you desperately had to poop and couldn't get to the bathroom. Oh my God, we can all feel it, right? We can, not like literally, but you can all like, everybody's been there.
Yeah.
Okay. Now think of the moment where you were somewhere where you could see the stars. And you were around people and sharing that, and sharing the, like looking up and going, oh, did you see that? And looking at the moon. Everyone in the world relates to looking at the moon. Seeing that face, and whether it's a face or not on the moon, no one, even though you know that what it is craters, that you can, like deep into the night, or the color changes on the moon, the way it fills you with a, people connect more than they realize.
That's what I was just about to say. And that's one thing I love about connections and interpersonal relationships.
Are you saying you needed to poop?
Not that part.
I'm just messing.
Not that part.
Go on. I'm just messing with you.
But I love this idea that we all have so much in common. That's why I've grown to love this idea of connecting and meeting different people and introducing myself and building relationships. Because it may be the most unlikely person. It may be the person who's the complete opposite of you. They could be 40 years your senior. You know what I mean? They could be 40 years younger than you. The opposite sex, opposite gender, opposite skin color. But we all go through pain. We all go through joy.
We're all one family.
Yes.
We're all one. It's one world and it's one people. That all those. So our other show, our podcast is Where's the Line? After doing a bunch of episodes, I've officially decided I'm opposed to all lines. That I've found that no matter where you draw lines, somebody's lesser and somebody's greater. That consistently we draw them to do us and them.
Yeah.
I look at lines on maps and go, wait a minute, somehow we end up in fights with people I don't know about, things I don't know about, not in the sense that I don't support right and wrong, but in the sense that it endlessly seems to, wherever you draw lines, lead to strife, to conflict.
Yeah.
No matter how many times somebody has decided that it's the right point in history to stand on the side of we're better than them, no amount of history has ever ended up looking back and going, oh yeah, that was right. Those people were obviously lesser. Good thing we pointed that out. So much so that it's a thing I've gone beyond just, okay, in some of the circles it's we pray for the well-being of all sentient beings. I had issues with that. So then I was praying for all life. And then the rain started teaching me things, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'm just attached to this old divine thing, and it's teaching me stuff. From top to bottom, I'm not going to decide which is the more valuable lesson anymore. I'm going to go, I don't know, and I've never been here before.
So it seems, would you say that you fear lines?
I do anymore. I don't fear them, I just don't believe they have value. They've lost that over and over again when you divide, it causes division.
Right.
We may have gotten into a math argument yesterday. I may have been arguing strongly with the fact that if you divide things at all, you are causing division. That the second you put things into groups, I'm just telling you how math works. When you divide things, it causes division. When you multiply things, multiplying is a lot more fun.
What you said was when you divide things, you're making them lesser.
Yes, absolutely. So if I take 5 and divide it by 5, now I have 5 groups of 1. Is that lesser?
Yes.
Okay, good deal.
You technically, as a whole, you still have 5, but they're not connected to each other anymore.
Oh, see
they're
the
5
problem?
different ones.
Yeah. And then eventually they start fighting with each other, historically speaking. There were 12 tribes. I'm not going to say anything more to this. We've done so well with this brotherhood.
I see both sides of this.
Absolutely.
I see both sides.
What do you fear? The only thing to fear
Is fear itself.
is fear itself.
You want to know something?
True. It's mind killer.
I remember Will Smith said this. He said that he hates being scared to do something. That he fears when he has that feeling of being afraid to do something, that he fears that feeling. And I would say that that's one of my number one fears. When I know, okay, you get nervous, you shouldn't do this, or this is what's going to go wrong if you do this, or if you take this risk, this is going to happen. That's exactly when I normally do something.
Excitement and anxiety are the same energy.
Really?
It's just how you read it.
Yeah.
Same.
If you think
same
about
chemicals.
it, your hands get a little sweaty, your
Yeah,
heart starts
yeah,
racing,
yeah.
you start getting an uneasiness feeling. And when you really evaluate your nerves, it's the exact same as when you get excited about something.
I hate that feeling of being... I know it's a natural feeling, but I hate the feeling of...
Powerlessness?
Not powerlessness, but feeling
like something has
almost
control of you?
inadequate or
Yeah,
or
I follow you.
unworthy, or, you know, like... So from that feeling, like, it's caused me a lot of times to give myself overconfidence.
Right.
Like when I was 18 years old...
Cocky versus confident.
This is what I did when I was 18 years old. I labeled myself the best speaker in Ohio. So on the end of my videos and my hashtags and everything was always the best speaker in Ohio, the top speaker in Ohio. That was probably a way for me to deal with those feelings of inadequacy, to overcompensate, to
Absolutely.
express.
We frequently talk about
But it helped though. I mean, it helped.
we frequently talk about imposter syndrome and how it feels
Yeah.
how it feels to step out into the world knowing that the thing that everybody sees as something that's awesome or something that's great or something that is constantly getting positive reinforcement,
Yeah.
that is not always what you feel inside.
Right.
And it's not always like you said, that feeling of unworthiness, that feeling like you're out here but you're not really as present as you could be in that.
Yes.
You know?
Those compliments that, man, I love them, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But you're talking about things I struggle with every day.
Yeah.
You know, that there's a reason why our other show is literally the idea behind putting on a show that's not putting on a show. Talking about the stuff that's hard. There are days where it's hard to watch us. My mom and my daughter and everybody will be, you know what, that just was unwatchable. Okay. If you think it was painful watching us, I promise it was more painful here.
Right. Right.
And we're back the next day. We're mirroring what we think based on our relationship is the way the world is met. That I talk about the idea you cannot lead by example.
You have to live
You
by
can
it.
live by example. That once you start leading, you think you get to judge.
Right.
And the only place to show is shoulder to shoulder. Hey, look, the only way I can change the world is to infect it.
Yeah.
If I tell everybody, this is what you have to do, they will not. But if COVID taught me anything, if you can get in their heads,
Yeah.
infections spread.
Yes, sir.
So if you do it better, it's why I don't shy away from Facebook. It's been tested. It can start revolutions and civil wars. What if you wanted to do something good instead? It worked for the bad.
Yeah.
It's a tool. All of it's a tool. For the first time in history, we can all talk. The people, the adults. My argument is it's the kids running the show. That the only way, so all the rest of us, heads down, we're trying to take care of business, trying to do the right thing, trying to be good to each other.
Taking care of business.
It's hard to keep the focus necessary. I'm willing to step on anybody to get there. I know how much money it takes for me to know your name as a politician. Sorry. That it's just a reality that the people in charge are the children that were willing to be self-centered enough to push themselves that far. You have to be self-obsessed. This is not a good training camp. This is not how we should pick our leaders. I'm at the point of going, how about random?
I struggle with that though. I mean, the feeling of the self-obsession.
It's hard.
You know, because we live in a society where, you know, you wake up in the morning, for a lot of us, first thing we do, boop, IG, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, YouTube, you see the person with the new car, the person with the new this, the person doing this, the person doing that, and I'm like, Nate has to be better. I have to be obsessed. I have to be obsessed. I have to be obsessed with this. I have to be obsessed with getting better. I have to be obsessed with making calls, taking emails, scheduling this. I have to be obsessed in order to
And
get
God
to that
bless
next
you.
level. But
Yeah.
there's always that but. But is that really?
Does it resonate? Does it feel like your path, like you're moving in a direction and doing meaningful things?
It does, but you almost rob yourself in the process.
It's the reason that we ask, how do you play? It's the one everybody struggles with. Everybody kind of gets work. They'll struggle around with an answer. Do you mean, what do I do? Same thing you did. Everybody's got some kind of answer for how they get grounded, how they kind of connect with the divinity or the prayer. But I find over and over again as adults, so you're not worth an hour a week of just specifically, you get to go play with Legos? Because I have trouble playing because I feel like I have to schedule it with someone. I schedule it with a 9-year-old, I schedule it with my mom. Wait a minute, the thing you notice is the person not important enough.
Yeah.
Person in the mirror. What do
Yeah.
you know?
What do you know? How many years into this are you now? You're what?
In the
You're a young man.
life?
Yeah.
26. I'll be 27 in October.
Oh, you're wise beyond your ears. It'll be amazing. What do you know in 26 years? I mean, because you've learned stuff. There are things you know. And for the record, and most of the beauty is, everybody knows stuff I don't know. I don't care if they're this tall.
What I do
How
know
to make kissy noises.
is that I'm in control of most, but I'm not in control of all. And when I say that, I mean different aspects of my life, not other people.
What do you feel like you're in control of? Just as a side question.
Business results,
Okay.
how much money's in my account, based on a transaction or a contract.
Yeah.
My body, like if I want to work out or gain some muscle mass or lean up, believe I'm in control of things like that.
Right.
But it's like the moment that I begin to feel like I'm in control of this thing, it's like God centers me and just puts me back in my place, and it's like,
Oh,
sir,
chaos gonna play its role.
sir, you're not running any of this.
There was
And so it's that constant struggle, because it's like we're in this fleshly body,
right.
and
Meat sack.
and we have to grapple with this. We have to accept. Some people accept it, some people don't. It depends on what you believe, that there is a higher power, that there is a God, that there is a Messiah, that there is Christ. We have to accept this, that we are not in control. The scripture tells us that the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, which would
The universe is gonna universe no matter what you decide to think.
But then it's like we're put down here to walk, to talk, to relate, to have sex, to make money, to drink, to smoke, to work out, to exercise. We have all these decisions, yet we still have to realize the ultimate say is not yours.
Well,
that for me,
I like to think of it as all a collaboration.
it's all
That it's always a collaboration. That I bring the best me in the universe. Because
the problem
whether
with
you
that
call it
is
the universe, the divine, God, I mix and match
I know,
all the terms.
I know.
That when I think of it as, no, we're constantly working, and I'm not in control of the speed the balls are coming. I'm not in control of those pieces. What I can control is my reactions, my ability to define how, okay, I can pivot, I can see that's an opportunity. I see every moment as an opportunity. It's a new place I've never been before. And so I end up seeing more things because I'm open to the idea that that's one of the possibilities.
Yeah.
That the divine is going to go, hey, by the way, bink. And sometimes, my mom likes to call it, sometimes there'll be moments where God picks you up and puts you back on your path. Like, you were way over there thinking this is what you're doing, and then one day something happens and it's like, ow, cha-boom.
I'll tell you what, there was a time when I was in New York that I was skating almost every day, and I was out with my friends in Manhattan pretty much every day, either Manhattan or downtown Brooklyn, and then COVID hit, and I couldn't go out anymore.
Yep.
I couldn't do none of that. I was feeling amazing and so good, and I had so many ideas about life, and I thought I had so much control over what I was gonna do, and I thought I could do whatever I wanted.
Yes, sir.
And then it was completely taken from me.
Mm-hmm.
All that control that I thought I had, all that effort that I had put in, all that everything, it was just
Yep.
I had to sit in the house.
Yes.
And it can sometimes the universe has a funny way, or God has a funny way of showing you, hey, you don't have any control at all.
I think, and I'm happy you said that. You know, this human experience is so interesting because that can go both ways, where you have the man who is struggling with this concept that God is in control. So he's constantly fighting. He's like, I'm going to plan this out. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to do this because this is going to be my way. I
Right.
control this. But
Right.
then you have that person who doesn't apply enough,
Right.
who is just like, well, everything is out of my control.
Everything's out of my control.
Well, that's the
But I
trick,
might
right?
as
You
well just do
can't-
nothing.
So I'm not going to do anything. I'm not
Right.
going to set any
Exactly.
goals. I'm not going to make any effort because everything's out of my control. And in a sense, it becomes self-sabotage.
And what you don't realize is it's about a 50-50 split. You have some control over how the universe treats you. You don't have complete control over that. You're gonna get thrown things that you're never gonna see coming at all.
Mhm.
But you can still deal with things. You can handle things if you
Ross.
take your time.
You appreciate it. Because this is one of the things that I have since I've grown and matured and had a better connection with God and just, went through life a little bit more. I'm trying to just explain and learn specifically with different churches that I have attended or,
Right.
some of the members at the church that even while we're down here, we do have control over something. Sometimes there's a phrase that says you can be so heavenly minded that you're no earthly good. Right? So you're so focused on, I gotta make it to heaven, I gotta get there. But your time here was really nothing because you just...
I've always said you need to have your hand in the dirt and your head in the stars.
Right.
So, like, everybody knows about Om. Everybody
That's
knows
how you
everybody
start,
runs
that's how
around.
you start a race, by the way. With your hands in the dirt and your head in the stars.
That you start, like, so
Thanks
everybody
for
knows
pointing that
Om, the idea of the all thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
People don't talk about the other side of that. It's, the whole yin-yang thing. They don't mess around where there's only one-sided stuff until you get rid of any sides to anything. Shh, that's later. But the concept of Om is we are all one thing. But the concept of Mu, M-U, is that you are all alone and disconnected. You are both. Totally. I like to talk about the idea of at what point does your blood cell quit being Nate? At what point is there a small enough piece of Nate that's not Nate? The answer is there isn't. That's Nate. So we're both universe then, brother. We're universe down deep. All of us. God? Right. Now, following me?
And we're all connected.
God is everywhere and in all things, but you are also separate and have individual... Oh, damn. I get it.
Yeah.
I'm a part of this. You a part of this. We're a part of this. Om.
Right.
I think we can definitively say it's not an either or.
No, and that's the
Yes.
beauty of it.
Yes.
I think that's
I
the
think
most...
if more people accepted that, then we would be, better overall. But, people are going to believe what they want to believe, and,
Well-
and that's okay. That's okay.
And so that's why I managed to come about it from 20 different directions. I talk about every day being a practice, which is big amongst the yoga crowd. I went through old to new and back again, including the books that aren't included in the other Christian faiths, because I did non-Catholic at a high school. That was part of the deal. The thing that hit me over and over again is that it's all perspective, and if we can figure out how to communicate that what we're talking about, physics covers this too. Wow, it's all connected and attracted, and we're looking at a unified field, and you're just describing God to me. I don't find science offensive. I find it awe-inspiring. I don't believe in magic. I believe in the idea there are things I don't yet understand. That 500 years from now, we're going to look back on medicine today and think we were idiots. I know that based on 500 years ago, I can look at medicine and go, oh, we've learned stuff. Nobody was idiots. I guarantee 500 years from now, they're going to talk about how chemo was the worst thing we ever did to humans. Right up there with drilling holes in people's skulls and stuff. And they go, oh, why would they do such a thing? We're doing the best we can, and that's our job.
Yep.
So being attached to, I have all the right answers, history tells me I probably don't.
This question is probably going to be contrary to what you just said. What do you wish you knew? What answers do you wish you had,
I hope I don't take the room down, but
No.
what my father thought before he passed. So what he thought of me before he passed away.
Oh, yeah.
I lost him in 2016, and I was away in Greensboro, North Carolina, and I've struggled with
Where that relationship was at.
well, and we were close, you know what I mean? But when you lose someone and you're close, like a parent or brother or anything, you always have questions. There's always the what ifs. I could have did this. Maybe I should have called more. Maybe I could have texted him. Dang, I should have called him back. Why didn't I say thank you? Why didn't I tell him I love you? So you have all those things running through your mind.
I used to tell the joke of, I remember the last time my dad said I love you because I told him I loved him and then told him I knew that he loved me too. It wasn't that he couldn't speak, guys. It was that he was raised by a colonel in the army.
Wow.
That just was not...
you know? Something you said.
Yeah. That there are so in about a year's space, I lost 3 fathers. Grandfather, father, then godfather. In like all the, I don't mean to interrupt. No, I resonate deep. Go on. Talk to me. Don't bring the room down.
No, we
we're
can
right
all
here
relate
with
to
you.
that.
Yeah.
Everybody in this room has lost their father.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
So
Some
y'all
of us
know
even
what
younger.
Y'all know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough, man, because you don't want to take that with you and carry that burden, but you always wonder. I mean, I know that Pops knew that I loved him. I know that.
How old were you? So how old does
I
it make
was-
you when he passed?
He passed in 2016. I was 20.
It's such a hard age because really,
It's
not in
funny,
the sense
man.
that it's your head's a million other places.
I
You're
know.
running. I've got grandkids that are that old. I've had kids that were that old,
I'm about to be there.
and I've learned to step back
You're a youngin', man.
because in that moment, man, there's things you're chasing more important than me, and I know it. Dreams of a million varieties, some of them not appropriate, but that's what 20 is. It took me. So my dad passed. I was. Let me think. 01, 02, so 20 years ago. Damn. 20 years ago. And it's taken me almost that long to come to terms with it.
Yeah.
That eventually I ended up with wise things he told me. Do I have that one somewhere? It was one day I turned on a movie. And the first thing I got was, it's time to get up, Matt. And we were in a moment. He was right. It's a movie that I've loved since before he died. It was my favorite movie, always has been since the 80s, a movie called Big Blue. And it's the start of the movie is the guy walks over and he's kicking the kid, going, come on, get up, Jacques, get up. And it just resonated. I knew it was my dad talking to me. The next one was Believe in Help You Can't Imagine. The guy's talking about his kids asking, how do you dive too often? He's a coral diver. And he's telling him about the mermaid saving him. And tells him, you have to believe in help you can't imagine. And the last one, was humans are like that, unpredictable like the sea. Thanks, Dad. And he hadn't been here since. He lives upstairs in a jar. But I mean, we were finally. Whatever he had needed to give me, it felt. And I once again, I'm not invested. I know to some extent it all comes from inside me. I'm not invested to what that means. Like, oh my God, that means what I am. For some reason, that was a message I found.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. 20 years later, I fought in that mirror. I look like him.
Listen. I favor the Jamesons, but I don't look like people don't be like, oh, you look like your dad. That would be I think that would be rough.
I tell you what.
I could see myself in the mirror. There were pictures where we look identical.
Oh man.
One time I looked in the mirror and I saw my dad and it horrified.
Wait, you saw your dad and you, or you saw?
No, I saw my dad's face. Like, I saw my dad, and it horrified me. I wasn't on anything at all. I was just like, because I looked at similar
Sorry,
to
that's
him.
the first thing that came to
No,
my mind.
yeah,
Were you
I wasn't
on
on anything.
Mine, I usually am. I'm a psychonaut.
Okay.
But I don't believe in taking drugs to get high.
I look really similar.
Okay.
I look really similar to my dad, and I looked in the mirror and I saw him, and it scared me, but it also gave me this comfort where I was like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
he's still with me.
Mm-hmm.
I can keep him with me in some sort of way, and
Knowing he's there. Because you were
Yeah.
young. You were really young.
Yeah.
How old were you when he?
17.
Oh wow.
Well,
I was
2 years
17,
ago.
and then I
He's
turned-
still really
I
young.
turned-
is
I'm
the
thinking
reality.
that was like,
later.
yeah, that was just a few years ago for you.
Yeah.
So this is still fresh too, huh?
Mhm.
I would say there are some things that I process. I process death fairly quickly, but it
I said that too. It just dawned on me that I say that all the time, and then I admit that it took 20 years to come to terms with it. That's the oddest thing. I say I say exactly what he said. It just hit. It was like, sorry, I had epiphany.
I'm not good. If someone says something like,
So we can make you cry.
"Don't," that is not what this is for.
Let's get our
Like,
own for a moment, buddy. Are you ready?
I can distinctly remember within the past maybe month, my bro, he brought it up. He said, "You still haven't gotten over your dad's death." It broke me down. My wife, I was on the phone with her.
What do you wish you'd learned from your dad? Beyond just how he felt, are there things you look back and go, damn, I wish I'd listened to that more, or I wish I'd paid... I miss woodworking. My grandfather woodworked endlessly. So losing him, what I thought about was simple thing, like a simple thing like, oh damn, I should have put the time and energy. I could know how to do that, and I don't.
It's weird because, Dad, I love you. I know you're listening, but my dad wasn't a wildly, successfully like rich man or anything like that. But he was successful to me. He didn't have some great profession. In fact, he could barely walk because of diabetes, because of ulcers. He was a cancer survivor. But I've always just thought, what did Pops want to do with his life? What was his dream? I know he had gotten into a lot of trouble and he was in the streets and stuff when he was younger, but what was your dream, Pop? You know what I mean? Like, what did you want to do?
Did he ever talk about that at all?
No. We talked about times when he were younger, but we never talked about...
Who did you want to be?
Who did you want to be? Who did you look... I knew who he looked up to, but what did you... How, you were a great father. You did the best you could for our circumstances, but I know this is not the life that you...
This wasn't your plan in your head.
No.
This wasn't your fantasy.
No, my father could barely walk for the last probably... Lord, he had a heart attack. I was probably... For the last 7 years of my dad's life, he could hardly walk.
Wow.
And so...
Was he able to make games?
When he could.
Right.
Took care of me and my mom, made sure we had plenty of money, made sure we were taken care of, food and everything. One thing I'll never forget, this is the week of my dad passing. He passed April 9th, 2016. He was calling me, blowing my phone up, and he was hurting. He was feeling bad. He was sick. He was rushing to the credit union to put money into my account because he always took care of Nate.
Right.
And he pushed through, and I'm like, Dad, you don't got to go. You don't have to do that. And it's just moments like that I'm able to hold on to. I'm like, this man would have done anything, y'all.
Do you think you were his dream?
Yes. Now that you say that, yes.
That it seems like, yeah.
This man...
As a dad, I get it. I'm telling you.
See, I'm not a dad yet. I have a dog, but I'm not an actual parent. I don't have a child yet, so I don't know what that love
It's different.
is.
It's not the same as the dog. It's similar. You got to pick a name. They get into trouble and they get to an age where they all want to screw everything.
Just describe the feelings though. Just give me. I can imagine it's probably because I know I took my parents through a lot, but
well, absolutely. But the hardest part, and Ross and I have talked about this a lot, is even the part where you're being hard or harsh, that kids are like, oh, I hated that part, is all based around, all we want is,
Right.
how can I push you in the direction I think is right?
Right.
Not in the sense that, oh, I need you to be this or I need you to be that.
Right.
I want you to be happy.
Right.
If this is your, I want to support you in being you. And
Right.
now, that may come down to, don't do that stupid thing because that's going to take you on a wrong path. Doesn't mean we're right. We're making it up too. We're just doing the best we can, trying to. It's
Right.
not that there aren't books. We know there are books on child rearing. I don't. I never read one of them. Big science project. Just see what happens next. But that the most heartbreaking thing in the world is seeing your child suffering. I remember the day one of my children, I was going to pick them up, and I'm being vague on purpose. And I said, I hear you're using needles now. Nod of the head. I said, we both know this only ends one of two ways, right? Nod of the head. Then we went out to breakfast. It kills you.
Yeah.
That all you want more than anything else is to make sure they're safe. I can remember that same child feeling better when they were locked up.
Wow.
You know they're safe.
Right.
Even whatever it took to get them to a place where you knew tonight
Right.
you weren't going to get that call.
Right. Ooh.
My mom was that way about my dad. She was always like happy when he was in jail because she knew that he was sober.
He was safe.
She knew that he had a place to sleep and he wasn't worried about getting to a bottle.
But I'll give you greatest joy in the world too.
Mm.
So one of the other kids didn't do well in high school at first. It was a big struggle. It was a square peg round hole kind of deal. And by chance, one of his guidance counselors suggested, what about, we need to get him out to vocational school. He'd been working on cars his entire life, taking apart stuff since he was a little kid. But the ability to sit down with a book
Yeah.
that he didn't care about and keep any of it, which just wasn't there. You could hand him a manual on a car, he'd put his hand on it and know what was in it.
Right.
And be able to do... I mean, even to the point of there was a year where I read Of Mice and Men to the entire family. He had a report to do on it. That it, as long as I brought that charisma, that speaking ability you have, Nate, to bear there, I'm telling you, from the day he got out to vocational school, never had a grade lower than an A, never missed another day of school, was never late.
Yeah.
I used to sit in this room,
Yeah.
man, poor guy's in his late 30s now, he's 39, so, damn, 10 years ago would be 29, so yeah, 20 years ago I used to wake him up in the morning at like 4 or 5 o'clock trying to get him out the door. And he went from there, and this is the pride you. So then he gets into University of Northwestern Ohio. He studies high performance engines and chassis work. He comes back and does that for a while. But he's actually doing amazingly well in business. It was overcoming the stigma that appears to have been the joy of seeing a child finding their niche. Dude, he sees you with purpose.
Yeah.
He sees you with, that's the dream. The dream isn't the what or the who or the why. It's you're fulfilled and that you care and are compassionate to your world. Those things he instilled in you.
Right.
That in the end we carry forth. You know, it's...
And see, I haven't gotten a chance because I don't have any children of my own. I've experienced it through relationships that I've developed with teens, teenagers, young men that I have mentored. But I haven't got to experience those moments yet. But I can remember facial expressions, embracing with my dad in small moments. I remember one time I lied to him, and I later apologized. I had took a Bugs Bunny sketch that someone had at the school, and I said, Dad, look what I did. He was so proud of me. I said, I did this. He was so proud of me. I gave it to him. I felt so bad. And I had to go back. This was weeks later. I said, Dad, I need to talk to you. I said, I lied to you about da-da-da-da-da. You know what my dad told me? He said, I don't care. I still love you. That's okay. And it's just like, a lot of people don't really have
I told
those.
you he was proud of you for coming to him.
Man, a lot of people don't have those experiences where they get too much comfort from their fathers. And this man was a comfort. I mean, that's my guy. I miss this dude, man. I'm like,
You're not pushing with me. I haven't seen a tear yet, man. If we double team him, it should come out. I mean,
nah, y'all not getting that, man. I'm in a good mood today. I don't want to leave here like.
I'm not really.
Because I'm gonna
for
tell
it.
y'all this: if I start crying, it's not just gonna be your. It's gonna be.
Oh, it's gonna be ugly crying. Oh,
Yeah, we
dude,
not doing
we got
that.
you now.
No.
Come on, we gotta
Let's
get
change
together.
the subject.
We'll get
So
the
it brings up an obvious thing. We've talked about your dad.
Yes.
You know, obviously at some point, about 9 months before you got there, we understand how you came to be here. But why are you here?
To spread hope. To
I
be
don't
an
know.
example.
Does she work at one of the local clubs or?
She doesn't work at one of the clubs.
To spread hope. I
I'm here
apologize.
to spread hope, man, and to be an example. I just want to be someone who's authentic, who's transparent, who's just Nate, who people can say, yeah, I know Nate's going to be Nate. You know what I mean? Nate isn't going to try to be anybody else. He's not going to try to act like nobody else. And to just be an example, man, I've been blessed to be able to build relationships and really get to shake hands and lock arms with young people and teens and care about their feelings and let them talk to me. And I feel so blessed to be in that position.
Yeah, I think a life driven by gratitude is so much more powerful.
Yes.
That even on my worst days, so I used to do a meditation with an apple. Lately, the apples haven't been so great. Damn supply chains. But anyways, apples are in season soon. And what I would do is I'd sit down with my apple. I'd eyeball my apple. I'd see the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Now, one of the traditional ways of like bringing yourself out of an anxiety attack or something is you go through the physical world and give descriptions, or you bring yourself grounded into a moment. How amazing. How can you not be grateful you live in a place where there's literally good tasting stuff to pluck off trees? That this apple has crossed however many miles to get to you. It needed the rain. It needed the sun, the earth, the compassion and care of the people that picked it. All of that to bring that energy and that joy to you. How can you not be grateful for it? And then you take that first bite, and you hold it, man. You feel that juice in your mouth, and you take each crunch, you can feel it explode. Being right there with your apple.
Yeah.
A meditation just on being present, being grateful, being grounded. It's not defined as any, I'm not attached to what does it mean, but it reminds me that that's the most meaningful, that being present.
Yes.
And how can I complain? I'm sitting here with Nate today.
I
These opportunities just...
I ask myself that question, what am I complaining about? How can I complain? Because we truly are in a blessed position. We have the ability to choose, the ability, if we want to go get McDonald's when we leave here, we can do so. If we want to go invest in whatever, we can do so. If we want to talk about whatever, we can practice whatever religion. For me personally, yes, I do complain because I'm not
We're human.
perfect, we're human. But I really have nothing to complain about.
Well,
I mean...
Except here's my thought. So, one of the big things with the Buddhist side of where I found stuff is the idea, first thing you had to accept that there is suffering. You have suffering. It doesn't mean you're a bad person because some of it, and what freed me, because I carried this around, well, how can I not be grateful every moment? Was one day I was watching a thing with the Dalai Lama. all enlightened one of Tibetan Buddhism, right? And so the reporter says, so now you've worked at this forever, your entire life. He was 6 years old, they start teaching him this stuff, right? So have you escaped all suffering? He laughs. Man, if you ever watched the Dalai Lama, you gotta laugh. Oh, I have a little suffering right here today. Oh. There's never gonna be a moment.
Yeah.
Don't set the expectation that the universe isn't gonna kick you.
Mm-hmm.
That once it goes up, it's gonna come down, and once it goes down, it's gonna come up.
Yeah.
You're gonna learn things in those moments, but don't feel bad because you've got a little suffering right here. You don't even have to. Once you get out a measuring stick for anything,
Yeah.
you've already lost. That everybody suffers. I point out, like, my favorite. Is everybody sure that if they had all the money in the world, or if they're the prettiest people in the world? Go talk to Bill and Melinda Gates if that solved it. They're on.
Mm-hmm.
They split that billions. Go talk to Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. They had the money and the looks. Did that solve it all? Did that magically?
Make it work.
No, they're suffering. How you react to it is on you.
Mm-hmm.
What you learn from it is on you.
Yes.
If you're going to pay for lessons,
Yes.
learn to play piano. Because you're going to... And if on occasion you can watch somebody else pay for some shit and pick up on that, you write that down too.
Man, I'm happy you brought that up because, I mean, you can really do yourself a disservice by moving through life believing that I've got to be joyful, uppity, happy, gratuitous, every
Fake?
moment. It's fake. It's not realistic, and it's not the truth. That's
Even
not
the calmest pond splashes if you throw in a rock. And then calms and is a little bit taller for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's just physics.
Mm-hmm. And
I told you I was the sciencey side of it.
I'm like, this guy knows. but that's the human experience. I mean,
Gotta feel it.
this idea, and granted, I said I don't have anything to complain about, and then 10 minutes from now I'll be complaining about
You got a
something.
list. It's okay. Don't beat yourself up for that though.
But what I've learned is I can't dwell there, right? So I can go visit. I can get a room. I can get a little motel, maybe for the night. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I can't set up residence and live there.
It's okay to not be okay.
Right.
But it's not okay to stay that way.
That's the truth.
They used to preach that. They used to preach that at the
That's what the group
meetings.
therapy, man. They're all
Really?
about that all day long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's okay to be okay. It's
It's
okay,
to not be okay,
But it's not okay to stay that way.
to stay that way.
Yeah.
But it's truth. The weirdest thing was in that world. What you realized was, why didn't they teach us this stuff?
Mm-hmm.
There's a great guy that Dr. Lynch, Professor Lynch. It's a TED talk, and what he talks about is grief. And what he points out is if your 2-year-old, 3-year-old gets a cut, they immediately come looking for a Band-Aid because they know what to do.
Yeah.
Hey, newsflash, we know how to deal with grief and stuff too. We just don't talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
There's you know what, like, hey, by the way, we work on this, we work on doing that. You
Yep.
know what? So why is that not in the schools? Why is that not part of the packet we're given? I don't think schools should teach us what to know. They should teach us how to learn.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you create discourse. And I think we're finally at a moment where we can do that. That education-wise, the combination of what we learned from COVID, the ability to use tablets in a meaningful way or laptops in a meaningful way, that allows children in math or English to excel or not, as the case may be, but not feel alone, because they're working in a world where they know there are other classmates as opposed to feeling like they're special or not special.
Mm-hmm.
But still in a classroom setting with proctors, and you've got kind of a more, there are parts that are more linked to age.
Yeah.
And there are parts, though, where we need to let the fish swim and the monkeys climb.
Mm-hmm.
Just to steal all my words from everywhere I can and mash them together in a meaningful way.
Sounds good though.
So what do you think, Nate? You braved the gauntlet. The full
Yep.
10 questions.
That's all 10 questions.
Yeah! You've officially been there and back.
You made it.
They do get harder. They do kind of get harder, though, don't they?
They do, and I feel like as the conversation went on, it got like quote unquote deeper and deeper and heavier and heavier.
Yeah.
Open and connected, and I feel it. I love it. The amazing thing is how strong this energy when you're talking to a guy in Australia or Nigeria. It feels just the same.
Wow.
And you can feel it. We're right here with you.
Right.
And how do I pull that off? How, if we weren't always connected, how does it work across the world? How can I feel like this, chatting with somebody, asking these same 10 questions over 3 days? Because if we actively share space with each other, it's meaningful, no matter where we are. There was a study in DC. You put 1,000 people meditating on peace in the middle of DC, the crime rate drops by 25%.
Really?
Go talk to the DC police. They were involved in the study. At first they scoffed it off, and then they're like, well, okay, why not? Crime drops by 25%, it's how it works. Go watch 3 days of Peace, Love, and Happiness, the Woodstock movie, and tell me those crotchety old farmers shouldn't be bitching about those hippies. The energy's too powerful, man. They're all happy. They're all talking about how amazing they are. What if we put on a global concert? How would that
He
work?
wants to put on a concert called Livestock.
Live Aid meets Woodstock.
Yeah.
Livestock. 3 days of free-range peace and love. It may be an Animal Farm reference. There's a possibility that there may be an Animal Farm reference in there somewhere.
How would this global concert work?
Well, Live Aid worked. We pulled it off once. We played music all over the globe and rotated for 3 days.
So you basically rotate around to different locations where you're having concerts.
It's easy. Watch me do a 24-hour show on Labor Day.
And you put it on the same channel and you just do it.
Oh,
for 3 days.
I see. Wow.
Yeah.
And the funny part was everybody was so into it, it showed on every channel. This was we were trying to raise money for hunger in Africa. Bob Geldof of the Boomtown Rats. Also, if you ever watch the Pink Floyd The Wall movie, he's the guy that plays Pink. Shaves off his eyebrows. It's really same guy did Live Aid. It was the Do They Know It's Christmas After All? What was the American one?
Oh, I know which one you're talking about.
We are the world.
No.
We are the people.
We are. Is it?
We are the
I'm
children.
too overly. If I go like this,
It's
we know.
everyone. It's Ray Charles.
It's Ray Charles at the beginning
It's
going.
got Ray
We
Charles,
are
it's
the
got Michael
world.
Jackson, it's got,
We
I remember I had to
Lionel
sing that at
Richie.
summer camp. We had to sing that.
Really?
Yeah.
The whole point was
It's
bringing
funny
together the
because
world.
The camp one of the camps I'm working with now, when I was younger, at the conclusion of the camp, there was this man who taught us that song. We all had to sing it as a performance or something.
Okay.
And that man was Bob Geldof.
Yeah, man. It's
He's living in
crazy.
Scotland somewhere.
It's crazy how things come full circle.
Right.
You know what I mean? You never know.
Right.
Well,
You
we
never
are
know.
at a moment in history that's never existed before.
Mhm.
We can all talk to each other. Even when we did that before, we couldn't all talk to each other. The corporations had to get together and do it. MTV was the big wig behind it, push hard. And every artist you knew from the 80s was there, including groups getting back together to perform.
Wow.
And, it was who was it? Phil Collins, I think, played in Australia,
Collins
the
is
United Kingdom, and the United States. So he was really he did the jump on a plane, I do a show here, jump on a plane, do a show there, jump on a plane, do a show on another continent.
Wow.
Then everybody was into it. It was a big thing.
Yeah.
I think it's time the adults talk. The children have been running this place too long.
Make
That's
it
my
happen.
thought.
Think you can make it happen?
I just keep talking about it. Well,
Yeah. Keep talking. Keep.
that hip hop
doing
guy I
what
was
we
telling
do.
you about from the '70s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Reggie's all about it, man. He's like the hippies had it right.
Hip hop guy
Hip hop guy,
from the 70s.
late '70s, because there wasn't
Yes.
hip hop before that. You had
Mhm.
to kind of invent that stuff. Back
What's
then.
his name?
Reggie
Oh,
Reg of Crash
Reg
Crew.
of the Crash Crew.
I don't know who that is.
What's the big song?
The big. I'll have to send it to you.
Well, then there's on the radio.
It's there's on the radio.
And we come to.
There's a couple different hits. Like they got a couple of the first hits of rap. The first few hits.
On the radio was #1 in the New York market for I forget how many weeks. He told me like
So
36.
he's big time. He's.
You mean the guy running tours, hip hop tours
He's running
in New
Hush
York
tours
with
in,
Curtis Blow
it's
and
hip hop stuff. Yeah.
the other
Okay,
guys
so,
from the
okay,
Fabulous
okay.
Five, and they'd
Okay.
like to. Their
Yeah.
point is they're still here and they want to make music.
Wow. How old is this gentleman?
59.
That's it.
That's it, man. He was 17
He was 17
when he
started, yeah.
when he signed his first one. Yeah, the best is listening to him. I'm like, wait a minute, because he's got deeper voice now. Murder Zone, you know. It's like, wait a minute, how old were you? He's like, I was 17.
Wow, that's so.
He lived,
young.
okay, so what it was he lived in the building with Mike and Dave. Mike and Dave are the first guys that stamp out any records. And then, I don't remember if they start Sugar Hill or if somebody else starts Sugar Hill. I'd have to go look into the history a little more. But so, he's in the right apartment building in the projects. And they're letting everybody play with the equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me that didn't resonate with my ass. Because you got to understand the story behind our studio.
Yeah.
When Ross moved in, we had eventually, we didn't even have that yet. We had 2 USB mics. Not that
All
we,
the stuff you see here wasn't here.
not that we
Pretty much.
recorded anything on USB mic. That wasn't there. The back corner wasn't there yet.
Yeah, it wasn't.
The back corner got built because there were so many kids in here playing Dungeons and Dragons. I need somewhere else for them to sit. Straight up, that's the truth. And so
Shoot, I even sat up there.
he sat up there.
It was pretty fun.
We never used the USB mics.
Yeah.
There are probably 10 plus mics in here now.
Mhm.
Some of them were given to us. Some of them, my 1976 ones still don't work. But anyways,
Yeah.
we'll cross that bridge someday.
We'll
I bought
test.
it
Maybe
cheap.
we'll get it out and test it.
We'll have to.
1976.
Yeah, so I had to go get it. It was $20.
Wow.
It was a nice mic. Was. That came from a pastor on the west side. The 20 channel board.
Wow.
I have a tendency to look at Craigslist and let the universe just, it somehow I end up in the right place at the right moments. It was $105. I could sell it right now for between $300 and $400. He was upgrading the Zoom stuff for his church.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted somebody to get it that was going to use it. It was there when I needed it to be there, and yeah, it happened to be where I found it.
Mm-hmm.
The big one a couple weeks ago was one of the TVs in the house was dead. You're going, how can this story be meaningful to you guys moving forward? I mean, that changed our world. We always knew we were a studio, not a podcast.
Yeah.
No podcast ever went out without this.
Yeah.
This became part of who we, it's in every picture. You see it. This is
Yep.
who we are.
Yep.
So the last one though was, so this TV went bad. The wife's TV upstairs. You don't want to piss off the wife. It was an identical TV to the TV I had down here, but she knew how much we used the TV as part of our business. Got her bamboozled. But, so I began looking, and I was not willing to pay more than $100 for a 55-inch TV. That was the amount I decided I was going after.
Okay. Okay.
And over the last couple of months, much to her chagrin, I chased a couple but never gotten them. She'd come to me with a, well, let's bid on this one. It's at $135 and we can bid one. No, I don't do that bid thing. So in the end, I ended up buying the 55-inch Samsung in front of you, the 37-inch LG in Ross's room, and there's another 32-inch Samsung upstairs. Don't get me wrong, this is old school 4K, and it's even got a couple picture problems that I'm not worried about.
Yep.
It's got an Amazon Fire Stick on it. The LG has done well by you,
Yeah.
and I mean, it seems silly not to buy the 32. Let me explain why. My total expense, I know I said I'd spend $100 on the 55-inch. I spent a total of $80 on those 3 TVs, $50 for the 55, $20 for the 37, and $10 for the 32.
How?
I looked in the right moment. It was on Craigslist. I answered. He said, yeah, I've got 2 more TVs. I said, oh, really? Because I called him, well, or texted him, emailed, whichever thing Craigslist had set up. That it depends on how you set up your ad.
Yep.
Because he listed this Samsung 55, but not smart. You know, he wanted everybody to know this is not a smart TV. No, it actually has some capabilities that I could wire it into the internet, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
I've used Fire Sticks. We've got Roku devices. I knew that my wife would deal better with a Roku TV, so my Roku TV went upstairs so that she would not complain about having to deal with any difficulties. She swore up and down that was my plan all along, to get the better TV downstairs. I want you on the record
It's
to say
funny
that
that this TV
it does
has-
have technical
it has,
issues.
I was gonna say it has technical.
so that no one can
difficulties.
claim this was my plan.
Yeah,
We get lines sometimes.
Yeah.
Not when kids aren't playing video games. But anyways, it may be other problems. Maybe we get direct feed. But I called the guy and he said, I have these other two TVs if you want to look at them. I made sure I got $100 out. I was broke. Don't get me wrong, that left me on nickels. And I ain't joking, nickels. But it was the moment.
Wow.
Never buy a pig in a poke. Most of the stuff I've built is built out of things people didn't want.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually the garage door comes off and the front door of the studio is it's the size of a double door and glass, and there's a beautiful glass door. And yeah, no, somebody was giving that away. I went and got it.
Wow.
You saw the pond in the other room. That's pallets. You build a square, you drop the thing in.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, and then you find longer pieces of wood to make the front pretty, and you can paint it or do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You can, but all of that was stuff that I scavenged off pallets too. I was in trucking,
Yeah.
so I had the ability to pick the good ones.
Right.
Don't get me wrong.
I will
Right.
say, I think we should end the show. I think we should turn off.
You officially, Nate,
But
we have
you
run
have
the
gone
longest
through-
show we've ever run.
Yes.
Really?
That we've run a full 2 hours. That and
I guess that's we made history.
Yeah,
made
we
history.
did.
and we're gonna make
We
more.
did.
I'm
This
not
part I
complaining.
know.
I'm not
Yeah.
complaining.
There's more history coming.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
Ladies and gents, more of
You got
Nate. We
anything you
feel
wanna
it.
shout
Sure.
out
Oh
before
yeah.
we go
What do you?
real quick?
Anything you want to plug?
Listen, please, if you can, go follow me on IG. My Instagram is Nate Jameson Speaks. My YouTube channel is Nate Jameson Speaks. You can follow me on Twitter at SpeakNateSpeak. My Facebook is Nate Jameson, I believe. But just stay connected with me. You can shoot me an email at info@JamesonConsultingGroupLLC.com if you want to talk, if you just want to meet me, if you want to connect, if you have questions. Let's talk. Let's get plugged in. Yeah,
Connections.
that's it.
In the
Connections.
end, it's
those
all
relationships.
Have
those
you met my
relationships.
friends?
Have you met my friend?
Right. It's all. If all day long all you say is "Have you met my friends?"
Mm-hmm.
until one day somebody goes, "Yeah, I have."
Yep. Yep. I'm gonna take that with me. Y'all give me some nuggets to take with me today.
Madisms. I have
Madisms.
somebody that'll text me every one and go, "I missed the Madisms. I haven't heard any Madisms in a while." It's all just, it comes in one side and goes out the other. That for me, it was arguments over cups. The Buddhists get big into it. Your cup's too full, your cup's too empty, you need to fill your cup. I joke about the idea. One day, I realized there was a hole in my cup.
We're off the air now.
We are.
Okay, let me go ahead and end it.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot you had.
Yeah, we're still going on here, so I'm